I'm Nadine Heitz. I am an immigration attorney here in South Florida. And I want to talk to you today about how I rebuilt my tech stack to get my weekends back, cases under control, and a law firm that runs itself, which truly is possible. I know it may not seem like it, but it can be done. I want to just mention a little bit about who I am. I am a practicing immigration law attorney. So I really decided that I needed to have a software for myself that could kind of grow with me. So I created a system called CaseFlow built on Monday.com. I don't know if any of you know what that is. And I'll show you that briefly at the end, but I do want to spend the majority of this webinar just talking about general tips on how to automate, how to run your law firm more efficiently, and basically just give you some suggestions. We're going to talk a little bit about AI, and we're going to go over a lot of different things. All right, so let's move on. So, how many of you recognize this in your own week? I'm sure it's going to resonate. Are any of you working nights and weekends? Do you have cases stuck on waiting clients to respond and you feel like, you're always kind of worried about, well, why are they not responding? I need information from them. Do your staff constantly ask you where things are? And do you feel like you're managing your software instead of practicing law? So I can relate because I did start my solo law firm back in 2020. And after about 5 years, I realized that I needed software that adapted to me, not software that wanted me to be stuck with what it had and not be able to customize. So for me, that was really, really important. So as I mentioned, it took me about 5 years to find the right software, but I was just a solo immigration attorney. I still am. I have 4 people that work with me. And so there's a team of 5 of us. And I found Monday.com back in 2020. So I realized that for the first time, I could really build my software around what I wanted to see. So I had the time. Now, keep in mind, what time was 2020? It was the start of COVID, right? So it was coincidentally around March 2020 that I found Monday. And I was able to really build out my workflows and my automations and my dashboards and my processes. But not everyone has the time to do that, right? If I discovered a brand new software today and thought that I would undertake building out an entire CRM and case management system now, and especially in this environment that we're all facing, I would not be able to do it. So I was able to do it at that time. And luckily, that is how my system became CaseFlow. And I want to talk a little bit about what technology is today for us as immigration law practitioners. 20 years ago, technology might have been a nice bonus, right? You didn't really need it. I mean, you probably had email, but you didn't need a lot of fancy technology. Even 10 years ago, it was probably a competitive advantage that if you had technology as opposed to another law firm, maybe you could do things a little bit more efficiently. But today, I strongly feel that it's a survival requirement. And I like to tell people, I work with a lot of other immigration lawyers on tech coaching, that build your budget, your expense budget, with a line item for technology because it's not an option. You need to plan it in just like you plan in your rent or your payroll. And even for AI, we're all daunted now with AI. What is AI? But you don't need to become an expert. You don't need to code, right? But you do need to at least start experimenting with a little bit with AI. And we're going to get into that a bit more as well. So here's some things you can do right now. You can start this week, next week, this month. Step 1, I suggest everyone start with a tech audit. I'm sure you're using some kind of technology. So especially before you consider buying anything new, what are you already paying for? And this is what I tell the immigration lawyers I work with. List every app you are using. Just create a chart. It could be as simple as this. It could be, you could stick it in an Excel spreadsheet. You could just write it on paper or even in a Word document. It doesn't matter. Just have some basic columns, right? What is the name of the application? How many users do you have that are registered users? What's the cost? Figure out the annual cost. Then you can divide it by 12 to get monthly. And put a little column maybe for notes, or if it's something after you've analyzed it, you want to keep. I like to have another column even for features because a lot of us are using software, but really we don't know all the features. I hear this all the time. Oh, I'm using such and such an app. I know I'm just using a fraction of what they offer. So make a list of what the features are and then see if there are any overlaps because you could be surprised that you might be paying for software that no one is really using, or maybe one of your software does both. Now, there is a caveat to this, and this is really important that you understand. Here's my rule for software. It's okay to have an overlap of maybe one software, like for example, scheduling, Calendly. I use Calendly, okay, because it's a scheduling tool that I love. It's very affordable. It does the job really, really well. It has robust features. I also use Gmail. I have my Google Suite. And could I do calendaring just in Gmail? Yeah, sure. Maybe I'm using another software that also has a calendaring feature. Maybe my immigration software for forms also offers calendar features. But if I am not happy with the Google Calendar or the immigration software calendar features, and I love, love, love Calendly features, yes, there is overlap, but it's okay. I don't mind paying for Calendly because it gets the job done. It saves me time and it has features that the others don't. So that's why it's okay to have some duplication, but just be aware of it and don't have duplication when you really don't need. And that's kind of all I'll say about that. Step two, you might think, who's going to do this tech audit? I don't have the time. I'm a busy lawyer, right? I don't have the time to do this tech audit. So most of us do have some staff. Some of you may have more than others, but appoint someone on your team to be the tech champion. And you might know who that is already, right? You may have that one paralegal or that one office assistant that just loves technology and he or she is always coming to you with the latest in tech, or they're the go-to person that everybody relies on. So talk to that person, fit it into their schedule that maybe they could be your tech champion. Put them in charge of your tech audit. Make sure that they own the research or maybe attending demos, maybe training staff, testing workflows before they get rolled out, bringing recommendations to management. You'll be surprised at how much easier your life can be when you do that. I've done that in my law firm. I used to be the tech champion, right? So back in 2020, I was the tech champion. But a few years ago, I realized that my main paralegal, he was really keen on all the technology we were using and was learning it really well. And we now have a board in our Monday system just for our tech needs. So it's kind of like a ticket system or a help desk. If anyone has a problem with their technology, they can literally put in a ticket on that board that Gabe will be alerted to help them resolve that problem. Or where we just comment on things that we might be testing. So do this and your life will be a lot easier. Maybe you do want to be the tech champion. That's absolutely great. There's a lot of lawyers out there that are tech champions. And so you just never know. I do have a Facebook group called Technology for Immigration Practitioners, or TIP. I can quickly put a link for that in the chat. And if you're not a member, you probably are a member already because you may have heard about this video from that group. But if you're not, feel free to join or share it with others. By the way, I want to also introduce you to Marit. You may see a couple of other people on here. Marit Ustazen she's in charge of CaseFlow as our product manager for CaseFlow. And if you do sign up for a demo with CaseFlow, then you can talk to Marit. She can help you, and she's awesome. And she works, you may see on her screen, she works for a company called Workflow. In case you're wondering who they are my partner company for CaseFlow, and they facilitate all the technology side of things. So just wanted to mention that. All right, let's move on to step number 3. If it's not on your calendar, it won't happen, right? That's my theory. So schedule time to work on your tech stack, right? I recommend maybe booking 2 hours a week. That might be too much. Maybe you only need 1 hour a week, but kind of treat it like a client meeting or a consultation. Talk to your tech champion, talk to your staff, review the inefficiencies and recurring problems that your staff are pointing out. Ask everyone on your team, what's the most annoying thing you do every day, right? This will uncover things that can be automated. And here's another one of my things that I kind of live by. Your staff may be creating their own workarounds on software that is not working for them without you even knowing, right? So think of the situation where one of your staff members is using something. Maybe it's the immigration software for forms or whatever it may be. And something just isn't working. And it's always frustrating, the person. And they may just figure out their own workaround. Maybe they'll just copy and paste or rekey information because it's not working. The sync isn't working or something is broken. But, I don't want to bother Nadine, she's busy and I'm just going to fix it. They may think they're doing the right thing by not bothering you and figuring out their own workaround. Meanwhile, they're wasting time rekeying or recopying information, right? So explain to your staff that it's okay we want to hear your problems. The vendors want to hear your problems, right? Have your tech champion be the one that reaches out to the vendor to alert them to the problem. I am now a immigration lawyer and a software vendor. So I know, and I talk to software vendors at AILA conferences all the time. They want to hear your problems. So please be sure to tell them what the problems are. I have worked with many immigration attorneys who have transitioned, whether it's from Clio or Practice Panda or even something like INSU into CaseFlow, and CaseFlow is really you're going to see what it is. It's a CRM and case management system. It doesn't replace your need for immigration forms, although we are working on more and more syncing with form software. But it will eliminate the need for what a lot of attorneys are doing now, which is creating Excel spreadsheets because their case management system doesn't track their cases the way they want to. So, and I see Merit has entered saying that we can also assist with data migration, and that is correct. As long as you can get some type of Excel style spreadsheet from the company, then we will work on bringing it into your new CaseFlow system. But it is doable, but it is a bit of a pain point, and you really have to be prepared and psychologically kind of psych yourself up. Now, there is 2 ways to transition. I'll just spend another minute on this. You can transition to your new software either by saying, I'm going to reduce my old software license maybe down to only one, user to keep the cost low. And maybe I'm going to hang on to it for like a year. And then I'm going to start all my brand new cases in the new software. Or I'm only going to bring my pending cases from the old software into the new software. So all the ones that are closed and approved and done, I'm just going to leave them there, download a spreadsheet and be done with it. Or you can just bring everything into the new software from day one. And it really depends on you, the size of your system, how much time and effort you want to take. But it is daunting, I know, but totally doable. And sometimes it can be the best thing you can do, right? Because why keep using something you're not happy with just because you don't want to spend the time and effort in bringing it into something. So just giving you some ideas here. Now, if you can save 10 minutes per case, right? You could get back a full work week. If you had 10 minutes saving on 300 cases, that's 3,000 minutes, right? If you had 50 hours a year, what would you do that, right? Would you take more clients? Would you have a vacation? Would you spend time with family? Would you stop working on weekends? So I personally, just so you know, I work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Sometimes I leave at 4 very frequently. I don't work weekends and evenings. Now, mind you, there will be a time where, maybe I'll come in the office on a Saturday and it's close by. because there's a pressing case. I'm not saying I never do, but I don't make it a habit. I take vacations. I recently went to Japan for 3 weeks. I'm going to Toronto in the summer for 3 weeks. And my law firm is basically truly running itself. I may not be available during those 3 weeks for consultations, or I might still be available. Like I could certainly do them from Canada if I want to, or I can just say no. This 3 weeks, I'm just going to have to book consults for when I come back. But my law firm is still running, right? My cases are still being worked on. My clients' questions are being answered. So run your day on scheduled appointments, not interruptions. This is really important. This is my tip for how I handle client phone calls. Okay. What does a typical law firm do? Most attorneys are still operating on voicemail, sticky notes, reception notes, right? Like who wants to come into the office on a Monday morning and have a stack of 20 messages to return? Not me, right? So here's what we do. And on the left is the old system, right? Client calls, message taken, given to attorney. You call the client back, no answer. Now you start the phone tag nonsense. So what I do at my firm, we use a backup. We have a dedicated staff member who answers the phone, but when she can't get it, she's busy doing other things. She's on lunch. She's talking to someone else. We have Smith AI, which is an online reception service. Let me know if you want a referral code because I'm using them for like probably 7 years now and they're awesome, but they're just my backup. So a live person will always answer my client or new client calls 24/7. Smith can book a callback, as can my receptionist, and this is what they do, right on the person's calendar. So client calls, oh, why I have a question about my case, blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay. Let me book you a callback appointment with the paralegal. There's one paralegal on my team that does all the callbacks. You could even have, it allocated between two people, however you want to do it. But the important thing is that it goes on somebody's calendar. There's no message that needs to be taken. And the receptionist or Smith person tells them, if you don't want to book this callback appointment, we really can't guarantee that we'll call you back, but we'll do our best to get back to you. So now the expectation is set. I would say 98% of clients will book and there's always availability. They can sometimes get a call back that same afternoon if they call in the morning or the next day. So now the staff member knows in advance at 4 o'clock today, I have to call back so-and-so. It's on their calendar. They can prepare. They will have a note on what the client is calling about from the receptionist. And this is how we operate. We insist on calendaring everything, no messages ever. So that's just a tip. Moving online. The other thing that happens is that repetitive messages should be a template, right? What are the things you are telling your clients over and over again? Oh, why is my case taking so long? What documents do I need? Haven't you not filed my case yet? So any things that you are explaining over and over again should be an email template. Almost every system today has a feature for email templates. Even Gmail or Outlook, has email templates. An email template, you create it once and then you just click and send it to that person. But we've taken it to the next level in my Monday system where it's often automatic. So for example, when the biometrics notice is received at our office, we scan the bio letter to our system. We just fill in the date of the appointment and there are even AI features now that can put that date in. But even if that is used, I like to verify. Make sure the date is in our column for the biometrics date. And we just click a button and that client gets an email saying, we received your bio. It's on such and such a date. Make sure you got your copy. If you didn't, let us know. Here's our booking link to book a call if you have questions. We have many automations like that are run based on things happening with the case. So you don't even have to worry about telling your clients things, the automation can do it for you. Okay. So that's just something we do. The other thing is USCIS receipt automation is really, really important. If you're an immigration lawyer, and if you're not, maybe you have other things you can automate for your agencies that you work with. But as immigration lawyer, we know that USCIS has their online system for the case stats, right? You get the receipt. Most immigration software has the ability for you to put the receipt number into their system, and then the software will update when USCIS updates the case status, right? Again, with my CaseFlow system, I've taken that a step further, and the system will notify me and my team when the updates with USCIS happen. A lot of systems, you have to go in and look at it, or you have to run a report. But if you are having to look at your system, and if you are having to remember to look at your system or remember to run a report to see what the latest USCIS updates is, in my opinion, that's not the way I want to operate. I only want to know when it changes. So every day, and by the way, I have my email also organized so that all my updates go into one folder in my email. Every day, I look at my updates folder in my email and I see whose case got changed with USCIS, right? So it'll tell me such and such a case is going to get an RFP, right? Such and such a case has now interview been scheduled. Those are important updates. I want to know right away, because then what we do is we go to our case management system and we click another button, and it now loads all the tasks for that system update. For example, RFP. If we know there's an RFP coming, we have about 10 tasks that we can click once a button, and it loads the 10 tasks with dates assigned and team members' names assigned. Everything you need to do for USCIS RFP. Task number 1, make sure you get the notice, right? Like, I know that USCIS just told me an RFP is coming. I better get that letter in the mail or look it up on my online account, right? Number 2, let the client know. Task number 3, are you charging for this work? Because we do. We charge for RFPs. Number 4, prepare the RFP or get the documents and so on. It's the same for USCIS interviews. So you know ahead of time. And here's another tip. I personally don't want my client to automatically know when these USCIS updates happen, because some of them are meaningless. Like the one that you get when, I think it's randomly, sometimes you get the update saying, we are still actively working on your case, or something to that effect. Or I think when you go for the bio, it registers that you went for the bio and it says, we are actively working for your case. You know what clients think often, right? When they get that, like there are clients that will look it up themselves and say to you, oh, Nadine, my case is going to be approved. They're actively working on it. No, that's not what that means. So I decide which ones are worth sending to my client through my triggers of my tasks. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. It's up to you how you want to handle that, but that's how I like to do it. Okay. AI, everybody knows the AI is the big buzzword, right? And you do definitely want to use AI. You don't have to become a coder. You don't have to worry about confidentiality if you use it safely. And I can't really teach you everything about AI today, but I just want to mention there are a lot of great webinars that exist on using AI for immigration lawyers. Ayla, I think, has a series. I have done a series of them with the Central Florida Ayla group. So definitely look into this. But let me just give you some suggestions on how you can use AI and how I use AI in my Monday system. So phone call summaries. I mean, this is great. Find out, does your phone software do AI call summaries? I used to use Dialpad, which is very good. A lot of lawyers use that, but I recently switched to AirCall and I am really liking it a lot because I am subscribed to the AirCall feature for AI, which gives us instant summaries. It gives you the transcript as well, but like a 30-minute call can have a huge transcript, right? So the AI call summary goes into my Monday case boards so that I can actually have those summaries there automatically. I don't have to worry about taking notes after the call. I can use the AI call summary, or I can plug the entire transcript into another AI app if I'm using it confidentially and I have the right settings and but the summary itself is amazing. So you can also use AI summaries, of course, for all consultations, meetings, follow-up tasks. A lot of us use Zoom. If you're using Zoom, there is AI that can create your transcript and you can use that to create tasks and you want that to flow into your case. So, what's the big questions clients ask all the time? Why hasn't my case been filed yet? Right. And there's another slide that I have that we kind of talk a little bit about more what I do for that. But there is AI that you can use in Monday. And Monday's not the only system that is using AI, right? But in Monday, they're really working really hard on getting a lot of really cool AI features. So you can actually tell your client very quickly why their case hasn't been filed yet. You can do an AI summary of their entire case. All the history of the notes, all the email interactions are all in Monday. And you can easily pinpoint why their case hasn't been filed yet. So make sure your systems talk to each other, right? Remember that tech audit? You might have 10 apps you're using. I certainly use a lot of different apps just because I use Monday. I also use DocketWise, but I only use it for the forms because I don't really care for their features for CRM. CRM is customer relationship management, tracking your leads, your consults. And I don't really care for it to be used for as a CRM or as a case management system, but I do like it for the forms. So if DocketWise can talk to your Monday system a little bit, or for example, Calendly, remember I mentioned I use Calendly? Calendly talks to Monday and Monday talks to Calendly by syncing, right? So this is kind of how a typical connected system can work, this flowchart here. Your lead comes in by maybe calling you, right? Your reception service books the consult. We use Calendly. So because we have a Calendly integration, the payment is tracked and automatically noted in my system. And by the way, Calendly has a great feature where you can not allow the person to even book your consult until they pay for your consult, right? Our Calendly and Monday integration also automatically puts that new lead into my Monday system. I don't have to enter it at all into my database for my contacts in Monday. It automatically goes in there. I don't even have to enter the consultation booking into my CRM system in Monday. It automatically goes in there because Monday and Calendly are talking to each other, right? Once I do the consultation and I want to send this client a contract, again, I can create the contract in my case management system. It sends them, and we have now an integration with another app called PandaDoc, which is like an e-signing feature. And the client can e-sign their contract, make their payment. Monday will know when the payment is made, when the contract is signed, and it'll automatically create the case. And once the case is created, then the tasks and documents to start that case off can be automatically loaded. So all of these handoffs require hardly anyone to press any buttons at all. And that's what I mean by systems connecting so that you're not retyping information. Dashboard. I love dashboards. Monday does have dashboards, as do a lot of other apps. Dashboards will tell you a story, right? So every morning when I come in, what do I want to see? I want to take a brief look at a high level. How many new leads do I have this month? I like to do my dashboards for this week, last week, this month, last month, and then of course your yearly overview. So I can look at my dashboard and see the new leads this week or the calls that are coming in this week because AirCall, remember I mentioned, has an integration with Monday, my call system. So I can go to my dashboard and see all the calls that came in this week or all the calls today. And I can even see the little notes summary for each call. I can see how many consults are booked this week for my dashboard, deadlines, revenue, if you want to track that in Monday. So CaseFlow, which I'm going to show you, comes with all the tracking boards you need for your CRM and your case management. It doesn't automatically come with all the dashboards because that is really unique to you. not everybody wants to see the same thing, right? You may have a law firm of, we work with law firms that have 50 people. We would work with law firms that have 5 people. So those law firms want to see different things. Some that have maybe 5 associate attorneys want to see dashboards for each attorney or whatever. Maybe you are just a solo person like me with 5 on your team, and my dashboard may be simpler, and you can even build it yourself if you want to, or we can help you with that. So that's kind of how that works. But I do like dashboards. Now, I think I'm going to get into the demo. And I just want to show you, I'm not going to do a thorough demo that we would normally do. Normally, we would do a 30-minute demo with you one-on-one. And this is also another reason I introduced Barrett, because she will be doing demos. I will sometimes do them as well. But if I'm not able to do your demo, because I am also running my immigration law firm here in South Florida, and Merritt is, just as knowledgeable as me with all the systems in CaseFlow. So feel free, you can post that link again, Merritt. You can book a one-on-one demo. You can also check out our website, which is CaseFlow with a dash, case-flow.com. And you can check out some videos. We also have on the Workflow YouTube channel, there's a lot of videos of some previous webinars we've done. And we'll post this one on there as well, probably, or snippets of it. But I will walk through some of the features just to show you what it really looks like. Because if you haven't used Monday before, it is kind of hard to envision what it looks like. And one thing I do love about Monday is how colorful it is. I'm a very visual person. I like color. I like my systems to look modern and fresh. You can do the dark mode. How do you tech people that are in dark mode? I don't like dark mode, but some of my team members like dark mode where, background is here white and, dark mode, it's dark, right? I personally don't like it, but you'll still have the colors in dark mode. So you should be seeing my screen now. And I can't see your questions anymore, but Merritt, feel free to interrupt if there is something pressing. So Monday comes with boards, okay? And these boards, think of a board like an Excel sheet, right? It's got rows and it's got columns. So this is, for example, in the CRM section in Monday. Remember, CRM is where it houses all the contacts that ever interacted with you. Contacts can be a new lead, as you see here. They can be somebody you've qualified for a lead. Maybe not every lead is somebody you want to qualify for a future case, right? They could be an active client. And Monday has buttons. I call them buttons. I think Monday calls them stage boxes, where you can change these, right? So if they become if their case is over, now Mike is a past client, and he would move from the active client group, he would move to the past client group. And you can see that happen in real time. And now Mike is a past client. So these are automations that Monday can do, right? And there's way more that I am not going to be able to explain to you today. But just some of the things you can track. You can track your CaseFlow system comes with everything you see that I'm showing you today. You can track where your clients are from. That's important, right? You can track where they're living. And again, this is all totally optional. You definitely want to track how they came into your system, right? Did they come in through what method? And the reason you track all these things is not just because you want to know, but because this can build your dashboard history so that you can better determine what's your best lead source, right? I learned that the majority of my leads are referrals. I even have a different category: referral from existing clients, referral from friends or professionals, because I really want to know, where my clients are coming from. That helps me refine my marketing, right? So there's a lot you can do in this board. Now, the deals board, this is kind of Monday terminology for their CRM system. Our system is built on Monday CRM, and we do offer the CaseFlow system on the enterprise plan. And I'm going to be totally transparent with the fees because I personally don't like it when I do a webinar and I have no idea what the system is going to cost me. Is it going to cost me $1 million or 10, right? So I'm going to tell you right now that Monday, this system, CaseFlow, costs $65 per user per month. Okay. And we do have a minimum of 5 users to start. So 5 times, so that's like 325 a month for 5 users. And you can, of course, add more if you need to. But in my opinion, it's totally affordable. And if you're using Excel spreadsheets to supplement your existing software, maybe you're using Clio, maybe you're using Practice Panther, or, I meet attorneys all the time that are using spreadsheets to track some of the things that I'm going to show you, for example, in some of the case management boards. But the deals board is really where you're going to track the consultations, right? And it's really a matter of clicking these buttons to move them through, or this can be automated. So, for example, remember how I mentioned that I have a Calendly integration? So I don't even have to come in here and click the consult booked button to move Lily Brown into the consult booked group. My integration with Calendly will do that automatically. So Monday knows that Calendly has booked her a consultation and the consult date will show up here. And now I'm ready to open the little icon here. And this is where you will put in your notes. Now, you can manually type in your notes, right? Like, you can tag your team members. I have some of my team members here already tagged. So they will be notified when you want them to know special things, right? But you can also use some AI features that will put, like I mentioned, the air call summary automatically will come into the client's item in your system. But Monday can also track all your emails. These are features. The emails feature comes with Monday. You don't have to pay extra for that. Every email you send to and from your client, not just from you, but from your entire team that's on Monday, will be tracked in this section here, whether you use Gmail or Outlook. And it won't look odd to the client in any way. And there's no like, you know, code you have to put into the email. Monday knows your client's email that you're using, and Monday knows your team's email. So Monday will automatically put it in here. You can even compose the email from here. You can just say new email here, and it'll automatically put your client's email in, and Monday has email templates and all that good stuff. Now, here's where the fun begins in the case management section. And this is what I mean by lawyers that are using Excel spreadsheets to track exactly this. And this is what I was so frustrated in. Like I said, I spent 5 years from 2015 to 2020 finding a system that would visually show me all my cases in this manner. I want to see the stage of every case visually, easily, so that when I'm meeting with my team, imagine this board filled with, like right now, there's only one case in New Matter Setup. New Matter Setup is the stage of the case that you just got a brand new case and you're just setting it up, right? What are the tasks you have to do to set up? Julia Brown just signed up. She's an I-130 family petition. If you scroll across, all this information is put in here automatically, right? There are columns for you to use where you can add a joint sponsor if you need to. If you have different attorneys, you can assign it to a different attorney. You can have different views in Monday. So if attorney A wants to only see their cases, they can click on their view. You can assign cases to specific paralegals. Remember I told you about the dates? These are the dates I recommend that you track, right? The receipt date or the filing date, the bio date, RFB, all these dates. Dates are tracked because dates can trigger things to happen. In my system, once we have an RFB due date, I have a countdown that counts backwards to remind my team to make sure that the RFB is ready to go out and was sent out. So it starts in 1 month. We'll often have the RFB done before that, but many times you are literally working up until the last week because of whatever reason, right? So we have a countdown that notifies us. RFB for Julia Brown due in 1 month. RFB Julia Brown due in 1 week. That kind of a countdown. Interview dates. You can have automations that remind the client of things like you have a bio coming up, you have an interview coming up, reminding them. Even we have a board called Future Cases where your clients will be automatically reminded by you to come back to you for that future I-751, that future N-400, 3 or 5 years down the road. It's all on autopilot. So, and the tasks can also be automated through an app that Workflow has developed called Templify, where you can, remember I mentioned the tasks, right? So you can have all the tasks loaded at once on the new Matter setup tasks. What are the things you have to do? You only have to create this once in the beginning, right? Your task template. And you can automatically have due dates that are dependent on each other, meaning that if you want to move this June 12th due date to later, and maybe if the next task depends on that one, the subsequent due dates will also move. So you're not always readjusting all your due dates, right? So now it's a matter of just clicking the buttons. Okay, that task was done. That task was done. Maybe I'm stuck. Stuck is a great way for staff to kind of make a note. Oh, there's a problem here. And then if you open this up, maybe your team member can write a little note in there on why they're stuck. But that's what the system is. It takes you through all the stages. So imagine this could be filled with hundreds of cases, and you can, collapse them. If you don't want to see them all, open them up. But this is a great way to identify red flags quickly. What I want to identify is RFPs. I always look at my RFP group regularly in our team meetings. I like identifying this one here, received by USCIS. How many times do you know a case got to USCIS because you tracked it, right? With your tracking, it got there, and we do that. We have a task for that, but you didn't get the receipt yet. And months go by. And how are you going to remember to follow up with every case to make sure you get the receipt, right? Your system will tell you, because we have a category for got receipt. So if any case stays in the received by USCIS group for too long, and every day or every week or every, time you have a group meeting, these keep seeing the same cases in there. Like, I will do this regularly. And at some point, you're going to follow up, maybe with USCIS, or ask the client, did they get their copy? Things like that, right? One more automation that I really love is my USCIS pending automation. Right now, I have about maybe almost 100 people in my USCIS pending group, right? They're just sitting there. They've done their bio. They're probably waiting for an interview, or they're just waiting to be approved. I have an automation that every month the client gets an email from me, just a generic email saying, hey, your case is pending. Nothing you need to do right now. Here's our booking link if you need to speak to the paralegal. And it reassures them that we're on top of things. Now, I do have different boards for different case types. So that was the USCIS board. This is now the EOIR court board. For those of you that do removal, and oh my God, I used to do removal in the beginning. I stopped doing it. Now I'm doing it again because my clients are all being, like, some of them being detained, some of them getting NTAs, right? So a lot of us are now doing removal again. But this is a great way to track your removal cases. It can get confusing, right? So the reason I have a different board for this is because there's different information you need to track for a removal case, right? And the stages are different. So here the stages are not the same as the ones you saw in USCIS. I like to track my cases by, is there a master coming up? Is there an individual coming up? Did the relief get approved, denied, whatever? And as I scroll across, I like to put their A number right in here because that's so handy. I have different columns for the motion. Was it sent? Did we, get a response? And then I have my next master. So technically this one should be in the master group. And if you scroll down, I can easily go here and I can see all the cases that have masters coming up, or individual filed with the BIA, withdrawn, and so on. Consular processing, again, is a whole different animal, right? It's totally different from USCIS. The stages are different, right? We have stages like waiting for the I-130 to be filed, waiting for the NVC to be approved, right? For the I-130 to be sent there. So you can see the stages are different. Documentarily qualified, interview scheduled. So at any given day and time, I can very easily just click here, search for a client, and Monday's search feature is really nice. Maybe I want to know what Alex Green's case is all about, what's happening with him. And I could just click here and I can see Alex Green's case. I can use the Monday AI feature to open this up. And the way that works is there's something called AI Sidekick that Monday offers. And you can go to you can see this little Sidekick button here, and you can click that and you can ask it for a summary. And like I said, there's a lot more to it. We have the USCIS receipts forward that shows you all the statuses of the cases and so much more. So let me just mention briefly here, what can you do this week, right? Or this month, because the week's almost over. Why don't you think of these three things, make a note of these and try to get these in. Number one, run a tech audit. I think everybody should do that, right? Number two, automate at least one process. Pick something your team does all the time. Maybe create an email template. Learn one AI feature, right? Maybe something simple. Book a demo with us if you really want to learn more about CaseFlow. If you think it could help you.
We'd love to do, a more in-depth demo for anyone that has questions or maybe a bit more specific to your own practice. But yeah, if anyone has questions, please ask away. Just to add, Nadine, with Monday.com, they also have a lot of gateways and things, how they protect data on the Monday.com platform themselves. But this is Monday's native AI. So yes, you can connect with like your Claude or ChatGPT, which does play a different role. But one thing that is really unique, Monday has a very approach to how they don't house your data. They don't keep a lot of information. So it's a really, really incredible thing to research a bit specifically to Monday as well as a platform that also plays, I think, a good role in that.
We can certainly ask the vendors about their AI features and how they keep confidentiality. Any system you're using, you do have to think about the ethics and security. Check with your state bars. I've heard that there are some states bars that are, or even some courts, it's not immigration court, some courts that are requiring lawyers to highlight if they're used AI in their brief, for example, to make sure that the lawyer just is kind of certifying that they've verified any of the citations. So you should never blindly accept what AI tells you, right? This is totally beyond what the CaseFlow webinar is, but definitely educate yourselves on that. So hopefully I will see some of you again in a future demo. Feel free to reach out to me. You're going to put my email address in the chat. You can reach me, Nadine at case-flow.com. And I do monitor that email regularly. So please go ahead and reach out to me if you have specific questions.
Looking forward to seeing all of your faces on a demo soon. We'd love to meet.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Take care. Bye.